Magic the Gathering is a game with almost 30 years of lore, spanning across novels and comics and short stories. For years now, the Magic story has been largely interconnected, with fans following characters across the planes in a tale that sees the Gatewatch contend with various interdimensional threats. But it wasn't always like that. You see, in the earliest days of Magic's story, things were different. There was no Gatewatch. There was no Weatherlight. In fact, in the earliest years of Magic's story, the story wasn't even being told by Wizards of the Coast. Ever since Magic's very beginning, it's been clear that the game took place in a fantastical world all on its own. Cards referenced characters, places, and events even back in the alpha set, with players wanting to know more about Dominia, Magic's world, from the get-go. But while Wizards of the Coast was able to give us a bit of lore, magazine short stories and flavor blurbs for instance, the earliest pieces of Magic's story were actually outsourced to a different company. The very first Magic the Gathering novel, Arena, was produced by the Harper Prism publishing company. It was followed up by the Greensleeves trilogy, as well as a further 8 novels and anthologies. These novels helped to expand the world seen on the cards, with some cards getting entire novels dedicated to telling their story, and characters that would later get their own cards first being introduced in these books. Harper Prism continued to make novels until 1996, when Wizards decided to have a change of direction, revamping the lore and producing all their stories in-house. 1998 saw the release of the Brothers' War novel, which started the Magic canon we now have today. From this point on, Magic would be on a unified, if bumpy road laid out by Wizards of the Coast's story directors, with everything published beforehand being treated as only barely canon. Since the Magic story received a fresh start from this point forward, the Harper Prism era is often referred to as the pre-revisionist era, with everything released after the Brothers' War novel being part of the revisionist era. While Wizards has previously stated that the old novels are only considered non-canon if contradicted by later sources, it's clear just by reading these books, from how planeswalking works to how certain characters are portrayed to how the very basics of Magic itself functions, that these novels aren't really compatible with what came later. And that's fine. They don't need to be. The Harper Prism line can be seen as its own continuity that tells its own story, one that occasionally gets referenced in Wizards' own continuity. For what they are, Magic's earliest novels remain to this day a delightful peek into the fantasy world of the past and how players viewed the setting of their favorite game. If nothing else, Harper Prism provided a nice collection of fantasy fiction for Magic fans to enjoy. Hi there. Thanks for watching. This video didn't really have some big thesis or anything. I just wanted to talk about the Harper Prism novels in a more broad sense, explain their history, that sort of thing. You know the drill by now. Like the video, share it, subscribe, and all that jazz. If you're interested in a breakdown of these early novels, then be patient. I'm currently going through each of them in order on the channel with a new video coming out monthly. If you subscribe, well then you get to see them as they come out. And if you're on Patreon, then you get to see them early. Anyway, that's really all I've got. Ciao.